Dear viewers, situation in Middle East is quite explosive. Israel has carried out massive airstrikes not only in Lebanon in last 24 hours, there have been airstrikes on Yemen as well.
Nobody expected that Israel probably will go as far as eliminating almost the entire military commanders and the council of Hezbollah. The Iranian government is concerned that maybe its restraint is being misinterpreted as weakness.
Where this war will be heading between Hezbollah and Israel?
Hezbollah has not used all of its power yet. Hezbollah has ballistic missiles, very lethal, very lethal. Hezbollah is preserving its power for a possible ground invasion by Israel.
What possible message Mr. Putin can pass on to Israeli Prime Minister?
The first message would be a message of restraint, definitely.
Do you think that Hezbollah's backbone has been broken after the assassination of its top leadership, including Mr. Hassan Nasrallah and other leaders?
It blinded Hezbollah by compromising its communication system. Ground troops for Hezbollah are still intact. They have weapons. They can fight. I'm sure they have suicide bombers. They have people who can do a number of things. And they have ballistic missiles. So it's a very, this is the most lethal proxy warfare militant organization in the world.
In the long term, if conflict goes more longer, do you think Israel has that defense capability that it can prolong war with Syria, with Lebanon, and at the same time could also fly over Yemen?
The two-front war is a nightmare for any military anywhere in the world. So all militaries try to avoid this situation.
Everybody is asking and raising question that where is the Lebanese military? Why it has suddenly withdrawn from the borders?
It seems that international brokers have brokered certain understandings between both Israel and Lebanon.
And why United Nations is silent so far, and why it is not playing its role in controlling and containing the conflict?
As you know better than even I do, is that diplomacy is a whole different game.
In the days to come, you see this conflict further escalating, or you see it is going to be contained? The entire region is going to witness a bigger war?
Yes, this is the million-dollar question, Matthew Saab. If anyone had the answer to this, they could probably make money out of this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello and welcome to program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, situation in Middle East is quite explosive, and the conflict between Gaza and Israel has reached to Lebanon. Israel has carried out massive airstrikes not only in Lebanon in last 24 hours, there have been airstrikes on Yemen as well. Israel has announced that it is in war with Lebanon. What is this latest situation and where it is heading? Why Israel has made an attack on Lebanon and where Lebanese army is? Although Hezbollah is responding and has fired a number of rockets on different locations in Israel. So what is the future of this war? How it is going to end? What are the aims and objectives? What Israel wanted to achieve in Lebanon? To discuss this all and all related issues and questions, we are joined by a renowned journalist and expert on Middle East and senior analyst, Mr. Ahmed Quraishi. Mr. Ahmed Quraishi, very warm welcome to program Insight. First, tell us about this latest air strikes that Israeli Air Force has carried out on different locations across Lebanon, and it has also made several attacks on different locations in Yemen as well. So why this latest escalation is there in Lebanon? Is it only against Hezbollah, or there are some objectives beyond this?
It's always a pleasure, Mateen Saab, to join you, to be on this very interesting, very informative show. And as I'm talking to you, Mateen Saab, I'm also looking at the Lebanese media coverage right now. So I have on TV in front of me the Lebanese media, and they're just reporting right now that in Tel Aviv, the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv has advised all its staff
Exactly.
and its members to reach or be close to the closest bunkers, which means that they're, as you mentioned in the intro, they're expecting an attack from Israel. I was also following the wider Arab media just now, and I think I saw somewhere that a headline that said that President Putin is expected to make a call in the next few minutes to the Israeli Prime Minister, and it is speculated that this would be regarding the possible Iranian attack on Israel. This is a major development. Why? Because everyone, including the Lebanese, including Hezbollah itself, including the other proxies of Iran in the region, everybody was convinced that Iran will not interfere. And there were a number of reasons for that. But if you recall, when the new president of Iran, President Pezeshkian, when he returned from New York to Tehran on Friday, after arriving, he and his foreign minister Abbas Araghchi, both of them made two very interesting comments. The President Pezeshkian, basically said, it seems like the commitments that the Western powers have made. He did not mention the U.S. by name, but he said
the Western powers made certain commitments with whom?
With Iran. It seems that the West has reneged on those commitments. He did not explain what he meant by this. And the foreign minister, of course, his foreign minister Araghchi, also made similar remarks. I think, Mateen Saab, and you're following, I know very closely everything. If you recall, before President Pezeshkian flew into New York, he made a press conference in Tehran, which was his first, exactly a week ago, and where he said something to the effect of, we have no problem with the Americans. We can make a deal with them. He even went to the extent of saying, we in America could be, brothers in humanity. He made very, I would say, friendly remarks. So I think there were certain expectations that the U.S. will restrain Israel, that Israel will not go beyond a certain point in attacking Hezbollah, would not go as far as decapitating Hezbollah maybe, or eliminating some of its senior leadership. I think these were the expectations. We don't know, obviously, Nathaniel Saab. We don't know. We're just following the indications, and the indications show us that there were certain expectations. Obviously, Iran has the capability to attack and intervene. It did not. There was a reason for that. What was it? We don't know. But
we were expecting the assassination of Ismail Haniya that Iran will attack, but it did not. Yes. Exactly.
It's been almost 50 days to the assassination of Haniya. It didn't happen. So it seems like, I think it'll be very safe for us to say that there were certain understandings between Tehran and Washington and maybe other Western powers, that Israel will be given a certain hand, maybe, to respond, because, the Israeli government has a certain pressure from its public. The prime minister needs to act. So he might attack Lebanon, attack a few buildings, but nobody expected that Israel probably will go as far as eliminating almost the entire military commanders and the council of Hezbollah.
Commanders of Hezbollah.
Exactly. Nobody expected this. So I think, and let's be very fair, Mateen Saab, let's be very honest. The Iranian government is also under tremendous pressure. It's not just the Israeli government. The Iranian government, number one, is very concerned that it may appear very weak internally, and that can cause problems for the Iranian government, with the protests and all, as we've been following over the past few years. That's number one. The Iranian government is also worried that the regional countries, the neighbors, that have competition with a number of countries in the region, and the Iranian government is concerned that maybe its restraint is being misinterpreted as weakness. So this is a second concern.
Restraint is considered as weakness, is what you are saying.
Exactly. I mean, Iran is not weak, definitely. But, its restraint might give the wrong impression, and this is another concern for the Iranian government. The third most important concern is the base of the Iranian government inside Iran. The Iranian people, the segment of the population who support the Iranian government, are very disturbed when they see the assassination of Haniya, they see the assassination of Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah.
Israeli army, after assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, said that Hassan Nasrallah remained one of the biggest enemy for Israel. But now the question is, Israel also knew that it's going to attack and assassinate Hassan Nasrallah. Minutes before, he was going to chair a meeting of his key commanders. And Israel also knew the consequences of this assassination, that it would be wider. Hezbollah would be definitely making multiple attacks at different locations in Israel, and that has happened. How do you see this future conflict between Hezbollah and Israel, keeping in view the past regard when Mr. Abbas Musbi was assassinated? Even at that time, Israel said that Hezbollah is over, but Hezbollah got more strength in last 30 years rule and the leadership under Mr. Hassan Nasrallah. So where this war will be heading between Hezbollah and Israel? Yes.
Okay, so first of all, Mateen Saab, we have to be very clear. Hezbollah has not used all of its power yet. So I was waiting, for example, to see Hezbollah use or begin to use its ballistic missiles. Those have not been used yet. There have been reports maybe yesterday that one ballistic missile was fired on Tel Aviv and it was intercepted. The Israelis have not confirmed it. It has also not been confirmed by Hezbollah yet. But the point is, Hezbollah has ballistic missiles, very lethal, and I'm sure the Israelis know this. But Hezbollah is not using them yet. And I was watching Lebanese commentators on Lebanese TV channels and talk shows explaining this, and they basically said, the only reason why Hezbollah has not yet used its full power are two reasons. Number one, as far as the ballistic missiles are concerned, they need a green light from Iran. And that green light has not...
a green signal from Iran to fire ballistic missiles.
Exactly, because that will be an escalation. And Iran has not... in all conflicts, there's always a ladder of escalation. And obviously, Iran is a state, and it knows how to conduct conflict, and it will take a step-by-step approach to conflict. So Iran has not given yet the green signal to Hezbollah to fire ballistic missiles. That's number one. Number two is, it seems also that Hezbollah is preserving its power for a possible ground invasion by Israel. So Hezbollah does not want to bring all of its assets above ground in the early stages of this conflict, especially when the Israeli army is yet to properly invade Lebanon. And we've been hearing since yesterday reports that Israel has finally entered Lebanon. But just, I think, 3 or 4 hours earlier, the UN peacekeepers have confirmed that Israel army has not yet started a proper ground invasion. It's just commando operations coming in and going back and coming in and going back. So we are yet to see Israeli tanks entering or to see Israeli ground forces make an entrance. And Hezbollah, and I think just an hour ago, the spokesperson of Hezbollah confirmed to Al Jazeera also that Israel army is yet to enter properly. So there has not been a proper engagement or combat yet on the ground between Hezbollah and Israel. So we're watching all of these things, and this is very interesting, the way Hezbollah is preserving both its air power, the ballistic missiles, and it's also preserving its ground power. So we're not seeing Hezbollah militants come out wherever they're hiding. And most likely, of course, they're hiding underground in tunnels, because that's where Hassan Nasrallah was eliminated in Beirut. It was in a tunnel. So definitely they're in tunnels in the south of Lebanon, which is almost empty right now. And they will not risk come out because they don't have civilian population where they can hide. So they will remain inside until probably they're waiting to see Israeli army enter and then engage it and come out. Let's see. They might follow the same strategy as Hamas in Gaza. But Hamas was lucky because Gaza is blockaded from all sides. Population cannot leave, and Hamas could hide. Here, it's a very precarious situation for Hezbollah. Let's see how it plays out.
Ahmed Saab, as you mentioned earlier, that the Russian president is expected to speak to Israeli Prime Minister. Please give a perspective. What possible message Mr. Putin can pass on to Israeli Prime Minister? A threat, a request for restraint, or what could be the possible message from Russia to Israel?
Well, the first thing that you and I both can confirm, definitely, the first message would be a message of restraint, definitely.
Message of restraint.
Definitely, for Israel to restrain if Iran attacks. I'm sure Putin will be saying something to the effect, to Netanyahu will be saying something to the effect of, you've had your play, you have had fun, you've killed so many people, in Hezbollah.
Then
rest
stop
back
it.
a little. No, don't stop it. Rest back a little. Allow Iran also to save face. Iran allowed you to save your face by killing whomever you killed in Lebanon, and Iran did not intervene and did not allow Hezbollah to respond with full force. It's all thanks to Iran. So Iran acted responsibly. Now it's your turn. You've had your fun. You killed whomever you wanted to kill. Now sit back, allow Iran also to save its face. This is how countries work. This is how it happens. This is, if you recall, Mateen Saab, when in January, Pakistan and Iran exchanged some of the ballistic missiles, they also managed it in the same way.
Face saving, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So both states, all the states do this. All the states do this in all conflicts.
So since you're keeping a very close eye, Mr. Ahmed Quraishi, as Israel claimed that it has broken the backbone of Hezbollah in last 2 weeks through Israeli airstrikes, more than 9 top commanders of different units of Hezbollah has been assassinated. So what do you think? Do you think that Hezbollah's backbone has been broken after the assassination of its top leadership, including Mr. Hassan Nasrallah and other leaders, or they have certain other commanders and alternate leadership already in hiding?
No, I really don't think they've broken the back of Hezbollah yet. And I don't think I've heard any Israeli official who would say this. And they better not say this, because they have not broken the back of Hezbollah yet. And Hezbollah still has, they have done only one thing. Let's be very clear. What Israel has done is just 2 things right now. Number one, it blinded Hezbollah by compromising its communication system. Number one. So Hezbollah is blinded. Leaders cannot communicate with the commanders on the ground because it's a compromised system. They cannot use walkie-talkies. They cannot use pagers. They cannot use land phones, definitely, and they cannot use internet, WhatsApp, what have you. So Hezbollah is blinded. So Israel did successfully one thing, which is to blind Hezbollah. If they respond right now, there's no way for whoever is in command of Hezbollah right now to communicate with the people who are on the front. So that's number one, that what Israel has done. And number two, what Israel has done is, yes, you can say a bit of a damage. Some of the installations that have been destroyed. Yes, the 9 commanders or 10 or I think there are 10 commanders who have been
10 commanders, exactly. 10 commanders.
10 commanders, yes. But Hezbollah still has a lot of ground troops.
Network, exactly.
Yes, and a huge network. I don't know how many of those people are still inside the tunnels in South Lebanon next to the Israeli border, and how many of them actually escaped with the people who went to Syria or who are in Beirut right now with the refugees. So I think we can be very assured that the ground troops of Hezbollah are still intact. They have weapons. They can fight. I'm sure they have suicide bombers. They have people who can do a number of things. And they have ballistic missiles. So it's a very, this is the most lethal proxy warfare militant organization in the world. There is no militant organization, a non-state actor in the world today as lethal and powerful as Hezbollah. So what Israel has achieved is impressive. There's no question about this. But it really comes down to blinding Hezbollah, but not breaking the backbone. That's why they're testing the possibility of a ground invasion to destroy whatever is left of the military arm of Hezbollah.
Mr. Ahmed Quraishi, Israel has been unable to occupy Gaza. Still, confrontation and intensive fighting between Hamas fighter and Israeli soldier is on. And knowing this particular fact that Israel is already engaged in Gaza and where its mission is yet to be completed. So what forced immediately Israeli ability to engage another country neighboring, although the biggest threat was indeed from Hezbollah. But do you think Israel is capable, as you said, that their tanks have not made entry? That means ground offensive has not been launched. So far, Israel has only the air power. Through air power, it is carrying out its strikes. But in the long term, if conflict goes more longer, do you think Israel has that defense capability that it can prolong war with Syria, with Lebanon, and at the same time could also fly over Yemen? Quraishi Saab.
Yeah, Mateen Saab, a two-front war is a nightmare for any military anywhere in the world. So all militaries try to avoid this situation. But right now, number one, Hamas and Gaza and Palestinians are out of the news. Completely. Out of the news.
Hamas, Gaza and Palestinians are out from the headlines.
Are out of the headlines, are out of the news. In fact, I saw a couple of commentators. It's all Lebanese commentators and analysts in all international and regional media. In one of the channels in the Middle East, I saw in the last couple of days, some Palestinian who came on the screen, and he was actually complaining. He said, you, the media, are forgetting that this is started with us, so come back to us. So it basically underlines the fact that Gaza and Hamas and Palestinians are out of the news. What that means is, and I'm coming to your question actually, what it means is Israel is very comfortable right now with regards to Gaza.
It's comfortable right now.
It's very comfortable. The military is in a very comfortable position in Gaza because actually there's no fighting happening right now in Gaza at all. There's no fighting. If you recall, in the early days after October 7, 1 year ago, Hamas was firing missiles on Tel Aviv and Israeli cities. It all stopped. When was the last time? We even forgot when was the last time Hamas fired any missiles on Israel. So the fighting has stopped in Gaza. There's no fighting in Gaza. Whatever is left of Hamas is in the tunnel, and they're not coming out. And obviously the Israelis cannot go in, so everybody's waiting. And Israel cannot use 2,000-ton bombs on Yahya Sinwar to do to him what Israel did to Hassan Nasrallah. In Hassan Nasrallah's case, it was easy to use 2,000-pound bomb. Why? Because if you recall, in the hours before that attack, Israeli military actually used the phone calls and text messages to tell the people in that region to leave. So most of the civilians were out. Otherwise, we would have seen
the place where Hassan Nasrallah was attacked. You are referring to that place?
Yes, it was. There were no civilians there at all. There were no civilians, and if you know that there were 4 buildings that were attacked, and in all of them there were no civilians, and almost the entire southern district or suburb of Beirut, which is called the Dahya, was empty, and that's why the Israelis used 2,000-ton bomb, which pierced through the tunnel. They can do the same thing in Gaza to reach Yahya Sinwar. But the problem is, number one, they may not be sure where Yahya Sinwar exactly is, in which tunnel. In this case, in Nasrallah's case, they knew where, but they don't know. And number two, you have civilians in Gaza who cannot leave anywhere, obviously because there's a blockade. They cannot come to Israel, they cannot go to Egypt, and they have the sea, obviously, and they cannot get out of the sea. So the point is, Israel military is very comfortable in Gaza right now. It is not fighting. The fighting has stopped. So it can turn its attention to the north. So that's one very, very important reason why the Israeli military is capable. Otherwise, it would not have been able to fight a two-front war, obviously. It could have held on to it for a few days, but not longer than that. So that's a key reason we need to understand the fighting is over in Gaza, basically. Basically, it's over. According to the Israelis, they've demolished most of the brigades of Hamas. Maybe 2 are left or 4 are left out of 23 or 24. So they're very, very comfortable, the Israelis. But the bigger picture, Matthias, is very important.
Bigger picture.
The bigger picture. Why Israel now can easily move on to tackle Lebanon, and also if Iran attacks, maybe even engage Iran. Why it can do that now? It's very simple. In the Israeli strategy, Iran's power, Iran's 2 hands are Hamas and Hezbollah. And Iran
and Hezbollah, 2 arms of
the 2 arms of Iran of influence. Iran's influence in the Middle East is sustained by these 2 major arms. Obviously, Hezbollah is the crown jewel of Iran's military power projection and influence in the region. Obviously, Hezbollah is the most powerful non-state actor in the world, in the region. It's very powerful. It really scares and has scared every country in the Middle East. So Hezbollah is very powerful. So Iran's one hand is Hezbollah, the other hand is Hamas. To a second extent. Obviously, you have some other smaller proxies in Iraq and Syria and Yemen, but these 2 are the main. So Israeli strategy is very simple. You can see it. I can see it. They want to cut both these hands of Iran's power projection capability. So they've damaged Hamas to a great extent. There's no fighting going on right now in Gaza. There's no threat of missiles right now from Gaza. And now they've turned their attention to Hezbollah, and they've given devastating hit in the past 10 or 12 or 13 days to Hezbollah.
Very, very important point you have made. But since you're keeping strong eye and monitoring Lebanese media, Mr. Quraishi, why it is so? Everybody is asking and raising question that where is the Lebanese military? Why it has suddenly withdrawn from the borders? And Lebanon is an independent country. Its sovereignty has been breached. Airstrikes have been made by Israeli fighter jets, and Hezbollah is only responding. So where is Lebanese own defense forces?
Exactly. That's a key point, actually. And you'll be surprised, even today in Beirut, there were Israeli drones flying at a very low altitude, which Israeli drones. They were monitoring Beirut, and people and media and journalists were reporting on them, and you could hear them even in live transmissions on different channels. And yet, the Lebanese law enforcement and Lebanese military did not down them, like, for example, Syria does. Syria, when it can, it tries to down
the Israeli drones.
Yeah. But Lebanese military is not doing that. And Lebanese military is not a small police force. The Lebanese military is equipped with Western equipment. The Lebanese military has excellent relations with the US.
That means latest equipment is with them.
Yeah, it's not a very powerful military, but it's not a police force. It's a good military. It has done exercises with Western militaries, with French, with NATO countries, with the US. So it has experience. It can fight. But again, the question that you asked, why the Lebanese military is not at least even showing that it's responding? I mean, we're not asking the military, nobody's asking the military to go and fight, but it's not even responding. And there's a very, very good answer for this. The answer is, very simply, it seems, we don't know, we have not seen this anywhere, but it seems that international brokers have brokered certain understandings between both Israel and Lebanon. There are certain understandings where they're not attacking each other. So let me give you a very interesting example. On Friday, the Prime Minister of Lebanon was flying back from New York to Beirut International Airport on Friday. And Beirut's airspace and borders and sea and land are all under Israeli military siege, because they don't want Iran to supply weapons to Hezbollah during this fight. So Israel is placing a siege around an air siege and a sea siege. So the Lebanese Prime Minister was able
Lands
to
despite this.
exactly land without any problem. The Israelis did not stop him, and he landed very easily. There was no problem with that. This and other indications, like not downing the Israeli drones in Beirut, and not even firing a single bullet on Israeli planes, and commandos who are entering in the south. All of this leads me and many other observers to conclude that there might be certain understandings where everybody is agreed that this fight is not between Israel and Lebanon and the government, or Israel and the Lebanese government and military, and that this fight is strictly limited and restricted to fighting Hezbollah and whatever IRGC officers who might be in Lebanon or who might come to assist Hezbollah. So the fight, I think the Lebanese government and military are very clear that this fight is not between the Lebanese army and the Israeli army. It's a fight between Hezbollah and Iran on one side and Israel on the other side. So it's a very interesting situation.
Exactly. Very insightful information Mr. Ahmed Quraishi is sharing. But in the last, please share with us the global bodies whose responsibility is to maintain peace and to prevent conflict. Right. So these bodies, and I'm referring to United Nations Security Council, is yet to meet because the Lebanon has been attacked, Yemen has been attacked, and there is a possibility of ballistic missile attack from Iran on Israel. Russian president is expected to speak. Situation is indeed, as you referred, very complex. And why United Nations is silent so far, and why it is not playing its role in controlling and containing the conflict? As
you know better than I do, Mateen Saab, because you've been covering diplomacy for many years, actually. So as you know better than even I do, is that diplomacy is a whole different game. And we can spend the next 6 hours discussing the dynamics of the UN and what happens and how it happens.
The war strategy, executive diplomacy.
It's a very different thing. But there's a very good answer to this question, a different answer, not diplomacy, because I will not get into that. It's very complicated. There's so much that goes on in that area. But there's another reason. And the reason is it seems there is an understanding now between major big powers and also regional powers that certain
big powers and
some regional powers.
Regional powers
in the Middle East, that action will be taken against Hezbollah, including also understanding with, as I said, with the Lebanese government and military, that certain action will be taken against Hezbollah and against not Iran, but some of the Iranian proxies, supported proxies. So there's an understanding that possibly Yemen and Lebanon, Hezbollah, of course, and between you and me, actually, if you follow some of the media in Iraq, the Iraqi media, there is a real fear in Iraq that after Hezbollah is taken care of, the Israeli military might also try to attack some of the pro-Iran militias in Iraq. So
there is also fear. There is also this fear that
there's a fear. Yeah, I don't know what basically airstrikes or whatever.
Like that cannot be ruled out. Exactly, cannot be ruled out.
Yeah, and Iraq is far from Israel. Obviously, Lebanon is right next door. I don't know how far the Israelis can go in Iraq. Iraq is a big country. It's a huge country. Lebanon is very small. It's easy in Iraq for militias to hide. You can't. The Israeli military can't do in Iraq what it can do in Gaza or it can do in Lebanon. But the issue is you have the Americans. You have the U.S. military right now in Iraq. You also have U.S. military.
There is a military base over there. There is also in Syria.
There's also in Syria. There's also in the Gulf, in Kuwait, in Qatar, in Bahrain. In all of these places. So basically, you could see an expansion later on. and there's our key point, Mateen Sabit, was that there seems to be, you asked basically, why don't we see the UN and everybody coming into action? And the simple answer to that is very simply, there's a certain understanding right now that the proxies of Iran will be sort of either destroyed completely, or if not, at least they'll be reduced, and they will not be able to do everything that they're doing or have been doing in recent months.
Precisely tell us that in near future or in the long term, by making this war entry into Lebanon, any plan by Israel to colonize Lebanon in future, as it has already colonized and captured West Bank and Gaza. In future, any plan like this?
I think they will stretch. You can expect anything, but I think it's not possible because
it's not possible.
It's not possible because the Israeli military is overstretched, and I don't think they will want to do this. And although they can, by the way, Mateen Saab, let me also tell you something very interesting. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that a large number of Lebanese are living actually inside Israel. And
large number of Lebanese are living inside Israel.
Israel. A lot of people don't know this, but people who know Lebanon know that. And the reason is, when Israel was occupying southern Lebanon back in the 1980s, there was something called South Lebanon Army, which was a proxy that Israel created in South Lebanon. South Lebanese Army, or South Lebanon Army, was based obviously in the south, in the area occupied by Israel, and it consisted of Lebanese citizens, obviously, and their families. And there were Lebanese Christians, Lebanese Sunni, Lebanese Shia, all of them were there. When Israel withdrew from South Lebanon, it could not leave all of these people and their families in South Lebanon because they would be killed as traitors, or would be tried, or would be put in jail in Lebanon. So Israel took all of them back with it to Israel. So if you go to Tel Aviv, if you go to Jerusalem, if you go to Nazareth and all the Israeli cities, you will find Lebanese Christians, Muslim, Shia, Muslim Sunni, who were members of South Lebanon Army, and they came with their families and they lived. When everyone heard about the possibility of Israel now invading South Lebanon again, like it did back in the 1980s, one of the things that happened is some of the Lebanese reported that the South Lebanon Army is being resuscitated or recreated or revived in a way. And South Lebanon Army, when it was operating back in the 1980s, Mateen Saab, it also had an official radio station, which disseminated news of the South Lebanon Army. And some of the Lebanese people have reported in the South that they have again began receiving on the radio devices signals from radio South Lebanon Army, which obviously is playing, if it's playing, I don't know, I have not seen it or heard it myself, but according to Lebanese media, if it's true that this radio station is revived, it's definitely playing from somewhere inside Israel. So, but
yes,
yeah.
Please conclude. Yes.
No, I was just saying that just to answer your question, definitively, I don't think there's a room for a occupation of South Lebanon because everybody knows why. Guerrilla warfare, Israel army would be overstretched. Why occupy when you can do everything through technology and Air Force and other means?
Finally, a shortcut question, and we hope a very precise answer. Way forward in the days to come, you see this conflict further escalating, or you see it is going to be contained? The entire region is going to witness a bigger war.
Yes, this is the $1 million question, Mateen Saab. If anyone had the answer to this, they could probably make money out of this.
Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Ahmed Quraishi, one of the finest journalists and very senior expert on Middle East. And a journalist who keep eyes on all key strategic developments in Middle East, particularly this latest war from Israel into Lebanon, and of course the presence of Hamas, Hezbollah, the war in Gaza, role of Iran, role of regional countries, and extremely insightful discussion. Once again, we are grateful to you that despite your very busy schedule, you spoke to Program Insight in V News English. And dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Allah Hafiz from studios.